Thank you, Streakway, for having EnGenius today to talk about EnGenius Cloud. What I have a lot of material to cover, so what I'll cover today is just an intro into EnGenius Cloud. So I'll cover an overview of the EnGenius Cloud solution, some of the business benefits, a few cloud advantages, differentiating features, how to get started with a live demo, compatible cloud devices, and then I'll open it up for any questions that you may have. So with that said, let's get started. So the EnGenius Cloud consists of a cloud platform, cloud access points, cloud switches, and a mobile app. Today, I will not be able to show you the mobile app, but it's a free download. It's called EnGenius Cloud app. Go ahead and check it out. It's a pretty nice design, so take a look at that when you have an opportunity. But today, mainly, we'll be talking about the cloud platform. What I wanted to make sure that everybody knew is that this is not simply our current network management software that we threw up into the cloud and said, oh, we have EnGenius Cloud. This is not basically EasyMaster in the cloud. We're using actually some of the most advanced cloud technology that's out there, which is serverless, which is using a function called FAS, F-A-A-S, which allows us to be very, very scalable. It's a brand new user interface design. We're adding a lot of new features, such as some AI-driven features that will help our customers in the future pinpoint different particular issues and things. So we're providing a brand new user experience with all these different items, and hopefully you see that within the solution itself. And again, if you have questions, by all means, feel free to ask at the end of the presentation. So keeping your business competitive and running smoothly. This EnGenius Cloud allows you to oversee your networks in a single pane of glass with very visually rich insights. And you'll see this as I go through the live demo. It enables for automatic scheduled hardware firmware updates for less downtime. You can actually deploy Wi-Fi 6 technology to future-proof for the demands of tomorrow's networks. So you'll see at the end what hardware is supported by the cloud, and that will include 2 Wi-Fi 6 access points. It allows you to scale to business sizes and different demands, so you can onboard, remove, or move network devices pretty effortlessly from network to network or from organization to organization. You can easily expand networks when your business is growing. There's no limits. Add as many cloud network devices as you need for your particular network. So you could have one particular network, or you have as many networks as you want. You can actually support a lot of devices with this solution in itself. 24/7 control, monitoring, troubleshooting. You can actually monitor and troubleshoot in the palm of your hands with the EnGenius Cloud app, as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation. Again, that's a free download on the EnGenius Cloud app that will help you monitor your networks, help you with, you can actually receive notifications through the app. So there's a lot of visibility within the app itself. You can pinpoint and resolve failure points before business is actually impacted, so you can proactively monitor networks and take care of problems if you see problems ahead of time. Always accessible network management with a 99.99 service level agreement. I think a lot of cloud vendors mention that. The benefit of having the EnGenius Cloud is that we're operating on a serverless solution, meaning we have many servers that are actually processing different functions. So when you actually run, if you're looking at throughput, or if you're creating new accounts for multi-tenant, all these little functions are making requests with many servers. And what that does at the end of the day is it allows you to be very scalable and allows the uptime to be higher than what you're seeing today. And that is one of the major benefits with the EnGenius Cloud. There's a minimal point of entry. What I mean by that is it's a full feature, license-free cloud network management for the lifetime of the hardware. You will not later down the road receive license. There will not be a license model later down the road for this version of the cloud. There will be a Pro series that will come out that will add even more features, more insights, into a new hardware for a pro line later down the road, but everything that you see today, everything that I run through today is all free. Of course, with EnGenius, you're always getting affordable business class network access points and switches. All of the access points and switches have a 2-year warranty. There's a minimum learning curve. Like I said, there's visually rich network management that can be up and running in minutes. Within 5 to 6 steps, you can have this system up and running very easily. You can easily scan, register, auto provision network devices. You can actually organize complicated networks with a simple hierarchy structure, which I'll show today. You'll see that in the live demo. The advantages, obviously, are deploy multiple remote sites with a simple plug-and-play system, manage device firmware versions with auto firmware updates. You can actually create a schedule maintenance window for your firmware updates at different times of the day or night, and I'll show you that today. Manage networks for distributed devices. I'll show you the inventory list where you have organizations that have inventory of switches, access points, and how they are registered to different networks. I'll try to show you that if time permits it. And then secure and fully scalable cloud solutions. Every device that is connected, every access point that's connected, every switch that's connected goes through a 2-factor authentication process and then a tunneling where it protects all that management data, and that management data is not being leaked or stored anywhere, or it's being stored in our servers. Which is on Lambda, AWS Lambda. So we store all that information, but everything is very secure on all the devices. So I just want to let you know of that too. So some of the features, current and future features you'll see with the cloud are device real-time checker. That is a current feature. Actually, you can pull up access points, CPU usage, memory usage. I'll show you that today. That actually gives you real-time information about the particular access point, about the switch. That allows you to further troubleshoot hardware, such as a memory leak, for example. You also have network health check, which is in the dashboard. It actually checks all the devices within your particular organization and within your network, and it will quickly tell you if a switch is down or if it's offline, if a access point is offline or down. So the Network Health Center will tell you a lot of information. You can find that in the dashboard, and I'll show that to you today. There's Hierarchy Monitoring View. We know that a lot of you are working with very complicated infrastructures, not only complicated infrastructures, but you're also working with a lot of different customers and a lot of different customer types and a lot of different environments. And so the hierarchy view will help you organize your workload to make your life a little bit easier. We have counseling floor plan, which is a current feature, but a lot of new features will be added to this particular feature within the cloud. It basically will allow you to do a Wi-Fi site survey within the cloud and then implement your actual solution within the cloud also. AI-driven advisory will actually look at different data points within the collection of the management data and be able to provide you insights into if there's a problem, if we're seeing crosstalk or interference with RF. So the AI-driven advisory will give you a lot of insights into potential problems and give you recommendations based off that information that it's collecting. There's Layer 7 app dashboard will actually tell you what the devices are running on the or what apps are running on the actual devices. I'll show you that really quick. Client network timeline is a new feature that will be added. We're basically looking at the authentication process of the actual client, so you can do more troubleshooting. You can do more granular troubleshooting, such as when I log in with my phone on a EnGenius Cloud access point, I will see the authentication process of that particular device, and that will allow you greater technical or greater troubleshooting abilities when you go into live networks. Topology monitor view, which I will show you, is one of the views when you have a switch, one of our EnGenius Cloud switches in place, that will map out device relationships between switches and access points. And then manage on the go Again, the EnGenius Cloud app that can be downloaded has a lot of visual tools in there, a lot of troubleshooting tools within the app itself. It's been updated multiple times now, so we're adding more and more features within the app. So when you get a chance, check that out. So I'll try to show you how to do those things pretty quickly. So getting started. Basically, all you need to do is create an EnGenius Cloud account. I'll show you where to do that. Once you create the account, you're going to create an organization. You'll create a network. You're going to create an SSID and configure an SSID. And I say those things because that's really kind of best practices. And from doing it multiple times, that's the easiest method to start with. So you're basically creating an EnGenius account, cloud account, create an organization, create a network, create an SSID, and then configure the SSID. And I'll show you how to do that. Download the EnGenius Cloud app. You can do that at the App Store or Google Play. We have the app is available for the iPhones and or Android phones. You unbox your cloud device, either it be a switch and or access point. And all of the EnGenius switches and access points for the cloud have a QR code on the back. You can simply just take a picture. I like to tell people that you could just simply take a picture. There's no QR code app that you have to download and then use that QR code to scan these particular devices. With the iPhones and with the Android phones, you can simply just take a picture of that device and it will scan the device into your inventory, into your organization, and then you can put it into a network, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Assign it to a network. So once that device is assigned to a network, your hardware is assigned to a network or an organization, it can then be assigned to a network. And then connect your device. So you can actually pre-configure, you can do all these steps up until you power the device on, up until the point of connecting the device. You can create your account, download the app, unbox the device, scan the device, and assign it to the network. And then you can plug it into an Ethernet port, and the device is already ready to go. It will go through, the first thing it will do is go through a firmware check, and it will update the firmware, and then it will register itself to your cloud account and to the organization you assign it to and to the network that you assign it to, and it will take down those configurations of that particular device. So I can actually do all my configurations sitting here in this room, send the access point to another location, and somebody can plug that device in, and it's up and running basically. So let's jump over to the live demo. So what I want to make sure we talk about today is obviously the cloud graphical user interface. I'll talk about the hierarchy view to give you an idea of the structuring within the cloud system, and then how to enable meshing. I know we get a lot of questions about meshing. Do you mesh? Do all your devices mesh? Can you mesh within the cloud? The answer is yes. I'll show you where to do that. And then I'll talk about splash page and our voucher system. And these two particular, specifically the splash page section, we have an editing tool, but the editing tool will be updated for a more granular editing tool, basically a WYSIWYG type of editing tool. So I will show you that, and I will show you the voucher system. So let me dive into the cloud. So what I've done is I've gone to engeniustech.com, and I'm going to refresh the home page for you. Let me make sure everybody's seeing what I'm seeing. Yes, okay. So there's our EnGenius Cloud logo, very clean, simple, as well as the interface is very clean and simple. I can click anywhere on the page, and it will take me to the EnGenius Cloud microsite. And in this page, you have multiple options. You can find out a lot of information about the EnGenius Cloud. I will continue to update this particular microsite with a number of different things. But what you can do is you can do a demo, or you can go to login. In login, let's wait for that page to come up and log in. I can actually create the account here. So this is really the first step. You want to create an account. You can use Google, you can use Facebook, you can use your EnGenius partner credentials, or you can just simply click sign up and then sign up for EnGenius Cloud here. Now, the EnGenius Cloud, like I said, it's a license free. There's no cost to it. You're not going to be billed later for it. It's free. So I'm going to use my current credentials and I'll sign in now. Signing into the interface of the EnGenius Cloud. So right now, this is the overall dashboard. And so the first thing I want to show you is that at the top here, you'll see this hamburger menu, these 3 lines right here. If I click here, this is the hierarchy structure. And I can add organizations and I can add networks within the organizations. And what I wanted to show you today is I want to show you real data. And so I'm logged into the EnGenius network, EnGenius Technologies, and this is my organization. And I can simply, if I click on this line here, I can actually add a hierarchy view. I can add a network. I can edit the name of this org, or I could delete it if I want to. EnGenius United States and EnGenius Canada is our Costa Mesa office and our Toronto office. If I click here, I can do the same thing. Well, basically the same. I can edit or I can delete the network. If I could actually create a hierarchy view and create a EnGenius East, for example. And I can put it on the East Coast and I can created networks successfully. Oh, let me actually delete. I can simply delete if I need to. Sorry, I'm adding a hierarchy view, not a network. I added a network by accident, so I'm going to create. You'll notice it's a folder. And so under EnGenius, the company, I have EnGenius East, and say, for example, I have EnGenius West. Under this hierarchy view, I can create multiple networks or more organizations. So I can create, say, for example, I have EnGenius East. I have a company in New York. I have a company in Miami. I have a company in, say, for example, in Boston, for example. So I would list those 3 networks under this particular hierarchy view. I can actually go down 20 layers if I need to. Now, we haven't found a case where you would go 20 layers or not, but we give you the ability to be able to go down as far as you want to, because that we understand. We work with a lot of managed service providers, and a lot of managed service providers manage a lot of different types of companies, and so that's why we give you the flexibility to be able to create these different types of hierarchies within this view. So my organization, the first thing I mentioned to you is creating the account. You want to log into your account. The thing, when you create your account for the first time, you will receive an email to the email that you set it up for. You want to make sure you verify the email or confirm the email before you can log in. So you have to verify that through your email first before you can log in. The first thing I would do is I create an organization, and depending on the time zone. And then I'm going to create my network. So I just showed you that if I create my network, I'm just clicking here, creating my network. And so now I have an organization, and for this example, I have 2 networks. Right now we're looking at, I will change my view. Right now we're looking at EnGenius Technologies network or dashboard. You'll see that it's already indicating that there's a switch offline, which is off, I believe, in Canada office. And I'll show you that. You'll see that I have 2 switches. One is offline, one is online. I have 7 access points. I have 62 clients. If I go to my hierarchy view and I double click on United States, it quickly goes to that dashboard for that network. Everything is up and running. 1 switch. I have 5 access points in this particular location, and I have 56 access points. You can see what's on 2.4, what's on 5 gigahertz, what's online, what's offline. If I scroll down, I can see the throughput. I can actually select the SSID and look at this particular SSID throughput. I can check by day, week, month if I want to. If I want to look at months, and you can see that it comes up really quickly. These are obviously my weekdays. These are my weekends. You can see my top access points, clients, SSIDs, top applications, what's being ran on my network. There's Facebook, Skype, Skype call, YouTube. There's multiple things that are running. I can identify that. I can see if anybody's abusing that information. I can see the top device operating systems here. So there's a lot I can do within the dashboard. If you notice, when I run my mouse over these particular icons, this will actually allow me to click into the different access points and the switches of this particular network. So right now I'm in the EnGenius organization under the EnGenius United States network, and I can click into what clients are within this network that are on my network, and it will tell me all the clients and the throughput that they're using. It will tell me the actual SSID, their IP address, the location of the AP, their RSSI, their rate, the band that they're utilizing, the download and upload. There's a hamburger menu that will allow me to choose other things. I can, like I said before, I can choose the SSIDs if I want to look at week, month. The thing I'd like to tell you now is currently the amount of data that we're storing for you is unlimited. That will be moved to a 7-day time frame. So you'll be able to see up to 7 days worth of data. Right now it's unlimited, so you can see as much as you want. But I think it will be moved to a 7-day, we'll collect 7 days worth of data for you. So just so you know. Under the organization, I'll stay within the United States and this particular network. I won't go to Canada, for example. Let me just show you. I can click my org and I can go to Canada, and you see the dashboard switches right away. There's that switch that's down, my access points and the number of clients at that particular office. And I can quickly switch back. And so you can have multiple organizations, multiple networks, or multiple organizations and multiple hierarchies and networks under those hierarchies. So just to give you an idea. So this is really your structuring of your networks and really trying to simplify how you can see and monitor your networks. This vertical menu, you have manage, which consists of the dashboard, which we're looking at now, AP list, switch list, topology view, and clients. All these views will be in reference to EnGenius, the organization, and EnGenius United States. I then go to the gear. I can now go to the configuration page. I can configure SSIDs, radio settings, cloud radius users, firmware upgrades, remote system log, alert settings, VLAN settings, and switch settings. All these items are for the EnGenius organization and specifically the EnGenius United States network. And the same thing for analyze. I can look at the event logs for this particular organization and this particular network. And then we have this section down here, which is not really called out quickly. I have to click on it. It is called InSky. And if I have any SkyKey, this is where I will do my single remote access into SkyKey. And you can find more information about SkyKey on engeniustech.com, or if you contact your StreakWave sales representative, they'll be able to help you better understand the SkyKey, or we can support them in kind of explaining that to you. But this is single remote access into your SkyKeys and or EasyMaster instances. Currently, EasyMaster is not it's not an option within this particular screen. It will be added, so you know. Let's see. Okay, so my team member is everybody that has visibility into this particular network, this org and this particular network. You can see if they have organization permissions or if they have network permissions, what kind of permissions do they have. For example, Adrian does not have organization permissions, but I have given him rights to view this particular network. So when he logs into his EnGenius Cloud account, this network will come up, EnGenius United States, and he will have view rights, but he will not be able to modify those rights. So this is our multi-tenant screen. And if I scroll down further, this is my org screen, and this will show me my inventory of all my devices within the network. It will show me all of them, what's being used, which is everything, I believe, what is unused. And unused is anything that I've registered to the organization and to the network, but hasn't been assigned to anything. So this will actually, it's been registered to the network or to the organization, but has not been assigned to a particular network. And so this is where you can actually register devices or deregister devices, or you can remove it from a network or assign it to a network. Not the better way, I almost call this the manual way. So I simply click register, I put in the serial number and I register. The easier way is when you download the EnGenius Cloud app, you can simply click the add button and you can actually take a picture of the QR code on the switch or the access point, and you can add that into your organization, and then you can add it into the actual network itself. And then you can actually take a picture of the device saying, okay, this is the location, take a picture and save it to that particular access point, and it will give you that information within the cloud interface. So let's go back to manage really quick. Under manage, you looked at dashboard. Let's look at access point. This is called access point list. This will list all the access points within this network. It gives me a quick status. This indicator will tell me if it's online or offline. If I simply click this once, it will give me high level information. Let it spin up really quick. It will give me the throughput on that device. It will give me the radio configurations. It will give me the SSIDs. On this particular access point, we're only looking at one access point, the WAN IP, the LAN IP, the firmware version, the uptime, the actual location. You'll notice if I scroll down, I can actually do this to I can expand on all my access points. I can now compare channel configurations and output power and channel widths with other access points to make sure that I have really good channelization. My SSIDs are being utilized, or if they're enabled. I can actually disable meshing if I need to. If I run my mouse over here, I can actually go to the detail page of this particular access point. I can reboot this access point. I can do a function called replace. Replace will actually replace this particular access point with the new access point of my choice and download or upload the configurations of this particular access point to the new access point. And that's what replace function does. But if I go to details, we'll let that spin up. I'm now looking at the particular access point in more detail. I can look at summary, logs, the number of clients for this particular access point. And this access point is located in our accounting office, just to give you an idea, and that's the naming scheme that we have. If I click back to summary, if I scroll down, these are the SSIDs that are assigned to that access point. I can look at throughput, I can check the different SSIDs if I want to. We should have very little guest on the accounting. So you can see we have very little activity. I can look over the month time frame if I'd like to. I can see very little activity. It's probably more testing than anything. I can look at the radio configurations. There's multiple things I can do. I actually took a picture just to show where this is actually located. I can do a reset if I'd like. So there's multiple things I can do. I can even turn off the lights if I want to from this particular page. Now, real-time meter is something I brought up really quickly. If I pull this over, right now what it's doing is it's connecting to the access point. I can see the memory, and I'm looking at the throughput, and I'm looking at on the 2.4 gigahertz and the 5 gigahertz. I'm gonna wait for the CPU. That typically takes a little bit longer. But memory is about 75% capacity right now. Now I might look at, okay, why am I using so much memory right now? Now you have to imagine within the EnGenius network, we do a lot of testing and we do a lot of firmware updates and things like that within the network. And so that's why we see maybe the memory is being used or the CPU's refreshing. So let me pop over to another access point really quick. And I will go to operations. Let's go to a conference room. I don't want to reboot. Let me look at meter. And maybe we could be doing a refresh right now. There's 10% usage on this particular access point right now, 76% memory. So this is a real-time meter. This is the actual usage at the current time. So as you know, we're pulling a lot of information and to collect all this to give you this view. And you would be hard pressed to find another vendor that's doing this type of intel into the hardware hardware itself. So excuse me for that. So let me pop back over to the AP list. I will quickly go through because I know I'm running. I'm not running out of time, but I'm getting close. Switches, there's a switch list. I can do the same thing with switches. The switch list, you can actually see what ports are being utilized on this particular switch. It's a 24 port, it has SFP ports. You notice that we're supplying power with this small icon here. This particular port is an uplink port. It's connected to a router or to another switch, so that's the uplink port. You can see that we have VLANs running on these different VLANs. I can just simply click back and forth or click this little icon. So you can see what's being utilized on the actual port. I can actually do a reboot, replace, or go to details to dive into this particular switch. And the same thing, I can actually do configurations within this screen, more higher level configurations. Within the AP list, I could do radio setting configuration changes and things like that, but within here, I can do a little more changes within the switch. Per port settings, I can do here, I still have my visual on my switch. If I click the actual port and then go to configure, I can disable the port. I can basically remove the power of the port. I can basically do a hard reboot of the actual device that's connected. I can label these ports if I want to, so I have a better understanding. So there's multiple things I can do here within the switches. And that's basically switch list. And so I could have a number. If I switch over to the org, I should see two switches. One is offline, one is online. Yep. Here's my EnGenius Canada switch. It's on that particular network, and my EnGenius US switch. And you can see one's offline and one's online. And here are the IP addresses. And these are the ports that are being utilized. I will go back. You'll notice that this is grayed out. And the reason it's grayed out is because I'm looking at the organization. I'm not looking at the network. So you cannot configure based on the organization. You have to configure based on the network. So let me jump over to the network. And so let's go to manage, and I will go to Topology View. Topology View gives you this beautiful view of device relationships between your switches and your access points. When you run your mouse over the devices themselves, it will actually tell you if it's online, MAC address, model. If I click on that, I can go to the details of that particular switch, as I showed you previously, or I could collapse the view. I could expand the view. If I go to the expanded view and go to the access point, I'm getting the same thing. I can see 9 clients on here, the IP address, the model name. If I click on that, I can go to the details of that particular access point if I want to. I can go in and fine tune the access point if I like. If I run my mouse over this little indicator, it's telling me I'm using 14.4 watts of the 410 watt budget that is on this particular access point. This indicates that I'm supplying PoE to this particular port. If I'm not supplying PoE, it will be, I believe, a grayed out color. So I'm not supplying PoE to a particular device. So there's a lot of great information here. I can click to particular areas. So that's Topology View, and it can get as complicated as you need it. As long as you're running an EnGenius switch, you're going to get this view. Client view, I showed you at the beginning. I can look at it a number of different ways. I can slice and dice the data in a number of different ways, day, week, month, if I want to. Let me jump to the configuration area. This is where, at the beginning, what I said is I would first, to create the account, create an organization, create a network, and then I would go to the configuration side and I would create an SSID. Now I can simply add an SSID, and I'll add an SSID, for example. I will add the SSID of StreakWave. Well, by the way, you may not know, but we've worked with StreakWave for probably 15 years, and we've StreakWave has been a strong partner of ours for those 15 years. So we're very happy to have this webinar and be working with StreakWave. So the SSID name is called StreakWave. It's enabled, obviously. It's not hidden. I'm going to run this, this particular SSID will operate on 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. I'm going to leave it in bridge mode. I won't go into details. I do want app detection. So on my notification screen and my, for example, my mobile app, I will receive notifications about this particular SSID, this particular access, or the access points that run on this. I can go to the advanced screen. I can apply here, I can move forward and go to the association, and I will leave it open. So there's no security. I can do traffic shaping. I can enable traffic shaping per SSID or per user, or I can go to captive portal. If I enable captive portal, let me show you the voucher system. The voucher system, within the EnGenius Cloud, you have, within multi-tenant, you have 3 users. You have the admin user, you have the viewer user, and then you have the voucher user. The voucher user allows that front desk person to provide vouchers to incoming guests, and they have a particular plan that will allow them on the network for a short time frame or a long time frame. It's really dependent on what you want to do. You can actually allow them to have access to the plan when the account is created, or when the user first accesses. You can actually add a plan if you'd like. Your access time by hour, by day, simultaneous logins. You can have multiple logins or just one. That is the current voucher system that we have in place right now. So you can implement this voucher service right now. We do have some advanced settings here with wall garden. You can redirect to a wall garden. Splash page, we also have splash page. Currently, this is the current editing tool that you have for splash page. Within the next 2 months, there will be a more advanced splash page editor tool that you can use, and obviously we're supplying that to you within the free license. So everything we're talking about today, everything that I'm showing you is free. So the more advanced splash page editing tool will be obviously a free item, or in the license-free cloud, EnGenius Cloud, which EnGenius Cloud is license-free all the way through. So this is the editing tool. You can edit multiple things within this tool, and this will be advanced. You can actually schedule your Wi-Fi, so you can enable particular schedules. You can have a custom schedule. You can set, you can do custom and or planned out, available from 8 to 5 every day. I can actually modify and make it unavailable on Sundays and unavailable on Saturdays, for example. I simply apply. And so when I configure the SSIDs, or an SSID, for example, I created Streakwave. When I create this SSID and I apply, I've created a new SSID, and I will not apply because this is on a live network. Once I apply, you'll see Streakwave show up under SSID. Now, every access point I put in to this, I register to this organization, and I add it to this particular network, it will take on the configurations of this SSID. So your network configurations under SSID are basically your group configurations. So when I create a SSID, I'm creating a group configuration. And when I create the group configurations, I can go back and I can fine tune the individual access points if I need to, an AP list, which I showed you here. I can go back and I can fine tune those particular access points with different channels, different radio output power, and so on. So there's multiple things I can do specifically to access points. So under SSID, I'm doing basically group settings, and then I can go back and fine tune. Radio settings are the same. When I go into radio settings, I can do radio settings for indoor and outdoor, because we do have indoor and outdoor access points that you can configure. And here's another thing that I wanted to kind of show you is that you can set your channels here, your channel widths here for 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. You can do minimum bit rate, client limitation. You can disallow 802.11b ABG. You can actually disable 11AX in 2.4 gigahertz. There's a specific reason why we do that. This is where you're going to enable meshing. I can simply enable meshing on 2.4 gigahertz, or I can enable meshing on 5 gigahertz. And I can do that from the beginning. So I can come in here, configure my SSID, configure my radios with meshing. Every device I put into that SSID, into that network, will take on these configurations. So all those devices will be meshing with one another. And you simply power those devices on. They go out, they get their firmware updates, they see where they're registered, what networks they're assigned to, and then they take on these configurations. They come up and running, and that process takes up to about 10 minutes, depending on if it has to go through a firmware update or what it has to go through. But then it goes into the configurations, and then these devices will mesh. Now, I want you to take note, when I enable meshing, it changes it. Actually, the radio button will indicate on both the indoor device and the outdoor device. And you can simply disable if you don't have any outdoor devices. Just a quick note about that. But we do have indoor and outdoor radio configurations. That's for obvious reasons, because the radio output power, the channels are going to be different from indoor and outdoor. So you know. And I can simply apply, and then they will apply to everything within that particular network. I also have firmware upgrades where I can do a maintenance window for all my firmware upgrades. I can do that for access points and or switches. I can do stable, previous stable, beta. I can also do remote system logs if I want to store those system logs on a remote server. I can do alert settings. I can enable alert settings on APs and switches. I can actually receive alerts in my interface, the EnGenius Cloud interface, and or through the phone app or through email. So it just really depends on how I want to configure that, but I can receive notifications whenever I want, how and as often as I want. There are VLAN settings. These are group VLAN settings for your switches, and this is switch settings. These are group switch settings. So I can actually do group settings for switches, for VLANs and or for specific things. So I want to make sure that you are aware of that. I won't go into this section. Inventory I talked about, team member I talked about. So I think that covers the live portion of the EnGenius Cloud. So I went through a lot, and I tried to go through everything I believe is important for most of you to understand. What I wanted to talk about next is what's available with EnGenius Cloud, the hardware itself. We have multiple versions of indoor access points. We have Wi-Fi 6, a 4x4 antenna design, a Wi-Fi 6 2x2 antenna design, a 11AC Wave 2 2x2 antenna design. A wall plate will come out very shortly, which will be a 2x2 Wave 2 wall plate access point design. This wall plate access point is a little bit different than the one that you may be used to. This has less ports. The price point will be slightly different. We have an outdoor 11AC Wave 2 access point that is IP67 rated. These are all cloud managed access points. We have new switches coming out, anywhere from a 48 port to a 24 port to 2 8 ports. They have different SFP options or uplink options. You'll notice that our 48 port and our 24 port have 10 gigabit or SFP plus ports on those particular switches. The 8 port has 1 gigabit, and so you have fast Ethernet or 1 gigabit Ethernet and fiber. And this particular switch does not have any uplink ports, so this is just a different option for a different price point. They're all PoE switches with different power budgets, so I just wanted to make you aware of that. Our partners have been asking us for this for some time, so the product is accessible through only approved partners and only through approved distributors. Streakwave is an approved partner to sell and distribute cloud networking products such as these access points and switches. The supply chain we're keeping very limited and strict for all of our managed service provider partners, all of our elite partners, all of our Streakwave partners. We want to have very strict online pricing policies. There's no Amazon stores. only available through those partners. So we're keeping a very strict policy in regards to this product line because of our partners have asked that for many years now, and we wanted to make sure that we supplied a 2-year warranty with this particular product and a very strict policy and a strict channel for this particular product line that keeps it protected. And for all of you that are working very hard on projects, that are bidding out projects, we want to make sure that you knew that we have a protected channel for this particular product line. So with that said, I think I will, that covers everything I wanted to cover, and I can open it up for any questions or any comments from maybe Mike and or Angela from Streetwave. So I'm open for any questions.
Thank you, Brian.
No problem.
I am gathering the questions right now, but I will go ahead and ask these ones first. Do all EnGenius devices mesh?
Yes, they do. All of the cloud EnGenius devices do mesh. Everything I showed you, a majority of them are ceiling mounts. Then there's wall plate. They all have the meshing capability. In fact, we use the protocol that we use. The main protocol that we use is called, funny enough, it's called Batman, and that's the protocol, the meshing protocol it's fairly widely used. Everybody has a different technique, but it meshes just like any other vendor that's out there. It uses the fastest path to communicate to the individual access points. If an access point goes down, there's self-healing. It understands that the system together understands that there's an access point that went down. Let's reroute the traffic to units that are running. So yes, all of our devices mesh, and that's the method that it uses to mesh.
Okay, thank you. Will EnGenius devices mesh with other vendors' products?
No, they won't. So currently, meshing is strictly to it's proprietary to the particular vendors. I know Wi-Fi Alliance is working on a criteria for meshing, so it's more universal. So you can mix and match different vendors and they will be able to mesh with one another. But right now that criteria is not set, that certification is not set yet. So right now it's proprietary to all vendors. That's true for if you're looking at Cisco, if you're looking at Aruba, if you're looking at Ruckus and so on. So all those particular vendors have proprietary meshing.
Okay. Someone's asking, can I receive notifications when an access point goes offline?
Yes, you can. You can actually receive those notifications via the EnGenius Cloud app and or through the GUI interface. Let me click back over really quick. Let me see if I can do that. You'll notice this little bell right here. If I click on that bell, I can receive notifications on these particular networks, and I have multiple notifications. If I look at Streetwave, you'll see that there's radio settings changed. I haven't registered any devices yet. Oh, deregistration of this particular device. That was earlier in the week that I did that. I changed the name from LinkedIn to Streetwave. So you can actually receive notifications real time or at a set time. Let's see, notification. I can actually set it up via email or a mobile app. So there's multiple ways I can receive that.
Okay. Will EnGenius move to a paid model in the future, and the cost of the EnGenius Cloud is currently at what price?
So the EnGenius Cloud is license free. There's no charge whatsoever. That will continue to be the case. You will always have a license free cloud management, and what I just showed you will be included within that license free. There will be a second tier, which will be Cloud Pro or AP Pro, which will have slightly different hardware with multiple radios, for example, that you can use for background scanning. There's more analytical information that we'll be providing for the Pro version. So there will be a lot more features with, there will be more features, I should say, with the Pro series than what you're seeing right now. So more analytical information, so there's a lot of data storage, there's more machine learning that we have to do, so you can understand that, okay, there's a lot going on the back end that we have to do to be able to provide a service like that. So there will be a Pro series version of that.
Okay. And is there like a trial or a demo someone can test out before actually moving forward?
We will, so currently what I would suggest right now is I would contact your StreakWave sales representative, and you can purchase an access point today and or a switch. And typically what happens, I don't know what StreakWave's policies are, but if we do an agreement prior, we can allow you to test that item for 30 days. And if that particular item does not work in your scenario, in your environment, or there's something that's missing, for example, then we would do a return on that particular device itself, as long as it's within 30 days. And that's something that we can do with StreakWave. No, I don't think that would be a problem, but I would have to have StreakWave weigh in on that also. So that's something that is definitely doable. It's just something that we can actually, I'm getting a note that yes, it is doable and we can do it. So within 30 days, no problem.
Okay, sounds great. I think that's all the questions that we have right now, and pretty much all the time that we have. I do want to thank you, Brian, for taking the time and getting this presentation going for everybody. If there's any last minute questions, please go ahead and reach out to us, to StreakWave, to EnGenius, and we'll get those answered to you guys. Brian, is there any last minute things that you wanted to add on before we let everyone go?
No, I just want to thank StreakWave for hosting this webinar. We have a great partnership, so I appreciate your time, your salespeople's time, and your customers' time. So I thank you very much for that, and hopefully the information was useful. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.